Johan, thank you for being here today on Casse les Lignes, the French football podcast. I'm really glad that I could find a real Feyenoord fan who also makes podcasts about his club to talk about the clash coming up this weekend, the semi-final of the Europa Conference League. Thank you very much for being here. Before we start talking about what's going to happen during that game, do you want to quickly introduce yourself and your podcast? I mean, you guys are a bit of a big deal back in the Netherlands.
Of course. Thanks for having me, first of all. I'm Johan Brinkel. I'm one of the 7 hosts of the Kangaloo podcast. And Kangaloo podcast is a Feyenoord podcast made by fans. Where we've been having the podcast since 2016. The first season that Feyenoord became a champion after 18 years. So I guess that's kind of good luck. And every week we make 2 shows. Every Monday night and every Thursday night we make a show, and we only talk about Feyenoord and everything Feyenoord. So
that sounds awesome. That reminds me a bit of the Marseille View podcast, who on the other side of this week's semi-final only talks about Marseille. Talk to us a little bit about the club, I guess. I mean, it's a historic club, and most people would know what Feyenoord is, and the European history as well of their domestic history. What's so special about Feyenoord, and what's it like for them right now in the local competition?
Well, Feyenoord has a long history. We've been based in 1908. And we're based in Rotterdam, the second biggest city in Holland after Amsterdam. And we've always been rivals with the club from the biggest city in Holland, Amsterdam, of course, Ajax. And that's basically our biggest problem, because we've been underperforming for ages. We were the first Dutch team to ever win the European Cup 1, the Champions League in 1970. After that, there were a lot of victories for Ajax. 4 times they won the Champions League. And Feyenoord is basically a sleeping giant. We have a massive support. It's been said that we have more supporters here in Holland than Ajax, basically. The stadium is always sold out. We have a stadium of 50,000 capacity. But if you're honest, we've been underperforming. We became champions 5 years ago. That was the first time since 18 years. The last European success was 20 years ago when we won the UEFA Cup in 2002, and after that we only advanced to the quarterfinals in Europe once from 2002. So basically, it's a massive club. It's a big club. It's a very popular club. But when you look at the prizes, we've not been doing so well. But this season, everything seems to be different. We got a new coach. We had Dick Advocaat, well known in Europe, of course, for taking on lots of teams. We have a new coach, Arne Slot. He's a young coach. He's been coaching AZ for 2 seasons, and before that, he was an assistant at some smaller teams. And Arne Slot is he's amazing. Write down this name. He's gonna be very well known in Europe. Right now, Erik ten Hag is joining Manchester United next season, but of course, I'm a little bit biased, but I think Arne Slot is a better coach. He's the way he communicates is excellent. He's a tactical genius. He's been very well, and what he has done to Feyenoord is amazing. Last season, we ended up 5th. That's why we ended up going to the Conference League. We had to advance in three preliminary rounds, and Arne Slot basically the whole team has been different. Lots of old guys have been gone. He entered a couple of new guys from smaller teams in Europe, from Norway, and how he's been performing this season is amazing. We're 3rd in the league. Ajax and PSV are on top of us, with way bigger budgets, so that's okay. But especially when you look at Europe in the Conference League, we've been doing very well. So we're very happy with this coach. We're very happy with this team. It's a young team with lots of talent. So we're very happy at this moment. We have a good season.
So far, so good. Tell me, you're talking about Arne Slot being a tactical genius. I guess what makes him a tactical genius is that a revolutionary strategy that he has, kind of like what Sampaoli actually has at Marseille, or is it just the way he makes his team play? What makes him special?
I think a bit of both. He always plays in the same formation. It's always four at the back, 3 midfielders, and 3 up front. So there's not a lot of variety in our tactical approach. But he likes to press opponents. So a lot of goals we scored by basically taking the ball from the defenders when they try to build up, quick passes, and then make a goal. So we've been pressing quite a lot. And what is really nice is it's the young player. We have some young players, especially Orkun Kökçü, plays with number 10. He's a midfielder. Last season he comes from the youth rank, so he's a youth player. Last season under Advocaat, sometimes you saw that he was a good player, but most of the time you were like, well, he's got something, but he doesn't show it enough. And this season, if you look at the progression and the play of Orkun Kökçü, he's on the radar of lots of teams in Europe. He's playing so great. He's been so good, and I think that, and it's not only him. It's also Geertruida, the right back defender. It's Sinisterra, who scored the winner last Sunday when we played FC Utrecht. It's a couple of those young guys who just emerge and develop so rapidly. And everybody seems to have fun in this team. If you look at the team, we're liking it.
You mentioned how well it is going right now. Was it a season that just went good start to finish, or was there a couple of moments where the team performed a little less good? I mean, I've seen that, in the last 11 games, beside that loss against Ajax, you win or draw everything. Is that a good way to end right now, or were you better in the beginning of the season, you think?
No, the progression of the team has been amazing as well. I told you Feyenoord had to advance 3 preliminary rounds in order to get to the Conference League. And the first 2 matches we had to play against Drita, a very small team from Kosovo. And well, we narrowly escaped. They at our home, at the away game, we played 0-0, and at our home, they were up 2-0. So we're like, what the is happening? And only a late game winner by Guus Til, who made a hat trick, made us go through to the next round. But then everybody's like, whoa, this team is rubbish. We're going to be rubbish again, like the last couple of seasons. But then every game you saw some guys, some develop. Like I said, Kökçü has been doing great. Sinisterra has been great. Geertruida, the new acquisition. We got Uisnes from Norway. We got Gernot Trauner from Austria. They've been great signings. They're like older players, 26, and I think Trauner is 30 at the moment. But they've been great. But the overall development is going upwards. Of course, sometimes you have lesser weeks, and the biggest problem for Feyenoord this season has been teams that are playing very defensively, because of course everybody saw, okay, this Feyenoord team likes to play advanced football and likes to play pressing football. But then you saw smaller teams like the teams that are in the lower ranks of the Eredivisie. They played with 5 defenders, played very tight up close at the back, and that was a kind of problem for Feyenoord for a longer period of time. That we didn't create a lot of chances, we didn't create a lot of goals. We only won those games by 1-0 or 2-0. So that was a problem, but at the moment that seems to be solved as well, because basically we're winning all the teams we're winning all the games against smaller teams. We have a bit more difficulty against the bigger teams like Ajax, like Vitesse, like FC Utrecht, which we won. But those are that's the next step of the development, that we win easier, close out games easier and faster.
Yeah, that last game was, of course, won at the right at the edge in the dying seconds with a goal from Sinisterra. You mentioned Sinisterra, you mentioned Kökçü. There's a lot of talks about him, of course, in France, and how good he's been for Feyenoord. But the other side of it, in France, everybody talks about how awesome a goalkeeper Justin Bijlow was, and how maybe a little bit less good Ofir Marciano might be. I mean, some Dutch football so-called expert have said that it's like the Achilles of Feyenoord, that the goalkeeper is basically not good at all. What's your thought on that?
Well, it's basically everything that you said is true. Bijlow is also a keeper from who came through the academy. Has been injury prone for the last couple of seasons. He's missed quite a lot of games because of injuries every season. But this season he was amazing. He also became the first Dutch goalkeeper. So for the Dutch national team, he's still quite young. I think he's 23 or 24. So he's a young goalkeeper. I think he already got like 100 matches played for Feyenoord at the moment. He's very good. He's one of the best young goalkeepers in Europe, I guess. And then we got, because last season we had Nick Marsman. He was out of contract. He went to the US to play in the MLS. So we had to get a new second goalkeeper. We got Ofir Marciano, who played at Hibernian. He's the first Israeli goalkeeper. So we thought, okay, well, he should be good if he's the first Israeli goalkeeper. But at the moment, the views of Marciano is that he's not been that good. He's not good with his passing, which is not the first skill for goalkeepers. But Bijlow is also very good at passing and playing with Feyenoord. Marciano is rubbish. Every ball he kicks into the stands, basically. But also goalkeeping wise, he's made a couple of errors. Last couple of weeks he's been doing better. Maybe it's the rhythm as well, because now he knows he has to play until the end of the season, because Bijlow's out for the season. But Marciano has not been very good at Feyenoord for the last couple of weeks. He's been doing better, but indeed he's the Achilles heel of Feyenoord at this moment.
Well, the French people will be happy to hear that. What about the Europa Conference League? How was that seen for Feyenoord fan? Was it a bit of it's not a great Europa Cup, but we'll see what we do? Or from the beginning, was it, that's the first one in history, we have a chance to win all three competitions basically after winning the Europa League and the Champions League, and with that one as well? Was it an objective from the beginning, or was it a bit overlooked?
In the beginning, we didn't like the competition whatsoever. The teams that were playing in the competition, like from Latvia or from Cyprus or all those smaller teams, it was not a competition that everybody in Rotterdam was like, oh yeah, we should watch them and look out for that. But at the same time, when we're in it, we want to win it. So when we advanced in the preliminary rounds and got to the group stage, everybody was like, okay, now we're in it. The group stage which we were in was quite a good one. We were at Maccabi Tel Aviv. We played against Sparta Praha, who was in our group as well, and we played against Union Berlin. So those are three basically Europa League teams, I guess. So that made everybody more enthusiastic about this competition. And we did very well in the group stage. We didn't lose one game. Then we advanced to the eighth the quarterfinals. We played Partizan from Serbia, and after that we played Slavia Praha again. So everybody is really liking this competition now here in Holland. Not even the Feyenoord fans, but the Dutch fans in general, because we're winning a lot of coefficient points for the ranking list. So Holland is closing in on France at the moment, which was, well, we couldn't ever imagine that was going to happen. But we already beat Portugal, and now we're closing in on France. So everybody here in Holland is liking the competition simply because it's a possibility to do well in the Champions League. Normally, as a Dutch team, even Ajax was they didn't have a chance, of course. But the Champions League is for the really big teams. It's only the 6, 7, 8 teams that are in the semi-finals every year. Europa League, you have a little bit of more chance, but in the Conference League, now you see Feyenoord is with the last 4, which is a great accomplishment. And of course, we hope to advance to the final and win the cup.
A lot of what you say really makes me think that Marseille and Feyenoord have a lot of point in common. The second club, historically the second club in the country, that desire to go and take it from the main club. Some European history as well, and even in the football, you mentioned that Feyenoord likes to press high. I mean, Sampaoli's philosophy is to press high, get the ball, and then has maximum possession when the ball is in their feet to try and frustrate the other team. That duel of tacticians, how do you see going? How has Feyenoord played against teams that like to keep the ball as much as possible?
Well, we didn't have a lot of opposition teams that try to press as well. So, of course, Ajax is known for that, and in both games we lost. But if you look at both of the matches, we were not the underperforming team. We were basically both of the teams games. I think we were better, especially at the game in Amsterdam. We were better. Only the scoring wise, we were unfortunate, I guess. But you get a penalty, of course. The referee was biased, of course. That we always say in Holland.
It's always the way.
Everybody's always Amsterdam based. No, but also we played the away game at PSV earlier this season. PSV is also a big club here in Holland, the second biggest team if you look at the trophy wise after Ajax before Feyenoord. And we won 0-4 at our own ground. So and that was basically we adapted to their playing style because they had a lot of the ball, and we had a lot of counterattacks, which were lethal because well, we didn't have a lot of goal scoring chances, but we still ended up winning 0-4. So I guess Slot is smart. I know for sure he's been watching tens of Marseille games, so I'm pretty sure he knows what he's going to be expecting from the opponent, and we're going to see. I think both coaches are great. They both are doing well. So I'm very curious how Feyenoord is going to end up, and what the games are going to be like. I think the game in Rotterdam is maybe also going to be different at the game at Marseille. Of course, it all depends on how the scoring is going to be. If Feyenoord loses 0-4 at home, well, yeah, the away game is not that important anymore. But I think Feyenoord, if I look at Arne Slot, I think he's just going to be playing like he wants to play, and he's going to try to press Marseille as well, even though they have if you look on paper, they have the better team, and they should be the team that should advance to the final. But I think Slot likes his team and likes his chances, especially at home. Sold out crowd, so we're going to see.
So that's the feeling in the Netherlands. That was going to be my next question. Is the feeling that Marseille are the favorite and they're a better team than Feyenoord, and they should go through, and it will be a bit of an upset if Feyenoord goes through?
Yeah, I think it is. Of course, Feyenoord fans are hoping that Feyenoord is gonna advance. But if you just look at the financial situation, the financial status of both clubs, Marseille is a way bigger club. You're able to get a guy like Payet from England. That's impossible for Feyenoord standards. So we are scouting at Norwegian competition, Austrian competition, smaller competitions in Europe or the rest of the world. And France is still a big competition. Players like to go to France as well. So I think if you look at the Marseille team, they have excellent players. They have good players. So we're hoping that they underestimate Feyenoord. They think, oh well, we're gonna beat them easily, and then maybe we're gonna surprise them. But normally you would say Marseille is gonna be the favorite to advance to the finals. But of course, as a Feyenoord fan, I hope that we're gonna make the finals.
Football game is football game. It's interesting because in France, there's that quite huge respect for Dutch football in general, for the history of Dutch football, for the way the football is thought and executed and played in the Netherlands. So as soon as Marseille got Feyenoord, everybody was like, Marseille might be the favorite, but people live and breathe football in Holland, and there's a chance that they're going to beat us because they are that good and because they can play in transition, they can play in possession, they kind of have it all. So there's definitely a lot of respect and a little bit of fear, I guess, for some Marseille fans, which is which is, I guess, rare because it's a very passionate and optimistic crowd, especially this year. That Feyenoord might be the team that is going to cause issues, and I think, or rather, I know, I guess, that Marseille is also taking this game very seriously. Because the Europa Conference League has become an objective, and you know what you're saying, that it's been a bit harder for Feyenoord to play against teams that play defensively. I can almost guarantee you that the first game at Rotterdam, Sampaoli is going to play his team with a low block and just wait for Feyenoord to go and try and play in transition, like he's done when he plays the first of the two games, because he doesn't want to concede, basically. And that's the first game of the Europa Conference League for Marseille, that the second leg is played at home. All the first leg were played at home before that game, so he'll probably play that as an advantage as well. You quickly touched on Kökçü, of course, on Osne, who's just been recruited as well. Which do you think is the best weapon of Feyenoord to score goals and to really hurt Marseille? Is that long balls? Is that set pieces? Is that crosses? Is that counter attack? Which one do you think is the most lethal weapon Feyenoord possesses?
I should not say too much, otherwise you have too much information, and you're always going to brief Sampaoli. And no,
I don't know how much he watches my podcast.
No. Or maybe you should learn something from it. No, our set plays are not that good. We don't score a lot of goals from free kicks or from corner kicks. So we have a difficulty, like I said before, when teams are playing very defensively close to the goal and have it's very tight at the back. So the hope here in Holland is, an expectation here in Holland is a little bit that Marseille is going to play attacking football as well, and we're going to hit them on the counter attack. We have like Sinisterra, the name has been mentioned before. He has an amazing season. I'm sure he's gonna transfer to a big club after this season. Same for Kökçü. On the other wing, we have a Arsenal loanee. I think you have a couple of Arsenal loanees as well. Reece Nelson. He's been at the first couple of the months he was at Feyenoord. He was terrible. He didn't do anything. The last couple of weeks he's been in the starting 11. He's very fast. He has difficulty scoring goals because some reason every time he's in front of the goal he misses the ball or whatever. It's crazy. But he's very fast, and the hope here in Holland is, especially when we have the counter attacks, those two guys can make the difference in the counter attack from because they're both good at defending as well, and then with 2 or 3 passes go to the other side. So I think that's the most realistic that Feyenoord scores in transition.
And the I guess the most fear you have as far as Marseille's weapon is that limited to Dimitri Payet and what he can do on one spot, or is that the fact that your keeper maybe isn't as good? What's the most fear that you guys have?
That's I think a bit of both as well. Payet, of course, is he's a great player. He was a great player in England, and he's been a great player at Marseille. We all saw the goal he scored a couple of weeks ago from 30 meters. Yeah. That was amazing. He's a great player. I'm very curious how Feyenoord is gonna defend him. I'm pretty sure Slot thinks of something to try to make him less important. But there's also the fear, of course, of our goalie, because last game against Utrecht, it was not a fault of our goalie, by the way, but they only had one chance basically, and they scored, and that's been the season for Feyenoord. Every time we're better, we create more chances than the opponent. We're playing in front of the goal of the opponent, and every time 1 or 2 counterattacks ends up in a goal for the opposition. So that's why the game in Rotterdam is going to be a very nice one, also technically, because I'm very curious how both coaches are going to approach the game. Who wants to attack more? Because maybe they both think, okay, we'll end up going at the back, and we'll try to hurt them in the counter attack. So I'm very curious, and I'm very looking forward to it. And I think it's going to be a tactical masterpiece. Both of the coaches try to do everything. Maybe the 2 games are going to be completely different. That the view that you have of the game here in Rotterdam is going to be totally different from the game at the south of France. So it's going to be a big clash, and we're looking very forward to it.
The way you talk about Feyenoord is the way every Marseille fan talks about Marseille this year. They dominate every single game, and they struggle sometimes to score a goal, and they concede a fluke goal against a team that's not that good. It's exactly what Marseille fans have been feeling. And just like Feyenoord, they feel like in the last month and a half, finally we're scoring against those lesser team, and then we're able to get the results, which, except Paris Saint-Germain, same thing, we haven't lost in 11, 12 games. That's going to be for sure an awesome encounter, both legs. I can tell you now and mark my words, St. Pauli is going to come to Rotterdam and play. Defensive football is not the right term, but he's going to play slow, patient, possession football, try and get Feyenoord to come out. I'm almost certain that we're not going to have a number 9 for the first game. We're going to play with like Harit, Payet, and what's his name? Our Turkish international on the right side. All of a sudden, his name leaves me. And Milik might come later. And then on the second game, we'll play strong straight away, almost regardless of the results both ways, because that's what St. Pauli likes to do: frustrate the other team for the first game and then play a bit more attacking on the second one. So, like you say, two very different games and two games to look forward to. Before I leave you, Johan, what's your predictions for those two games?
At first, because you know everything about Marseille, and tonight I'm going to make a podcast, and I have to tell my listeners what is the weakness of Marseille. So where can Feyenoord hurt Olympique Marseille? Is there the right side of
Feyenoord, the left side of Marseille.
Okay.
On the Marseille, if they play, whether they play 2 or 3 center backs, the demi space, the half space, between Charetacha and either Luan Perez or Kolasinac, whoever plays, that's where the issue is. To be honest, this is an issue that happened once every 3-4 games. Besides that, I have rarely seen a Marseille that strong. In the midfield, they're impressive. Camara is at the top of his form. Guendouzi is at the top of his form. The other weakness is that we don't score goals sometimes. Like, we can have the ball for 90 minutes and have 76% of possession, but we just play. We're a handball team. We just go around, and never actually go into the box and score, which is what has been said against St. Pauli, that, you don't want to play Alec Milik, but then we don't have anybody in the box because everybody just plays around and try to dribble everybody to try and get a goal. What we do well is we get penalties really well. We go into the box so many times and play small passes into the box that it's harder for defense to defend against us. And the work rate of Camara, Guendouzi, Rongier, Salibas, phenomenal defensively. He's made one mistake in the whole season. Mandanda, unfortunately for you, is coming back in form as a goalkeeper. He's 37 years old, but he's basically put the other one on the bench for the last 2-3 games. He only played against Paris, Pau Lopez, and we lost that game. So Marseille is looking good. The only thing what we know, us Marseille fans, is when we're looking good is when we are about to be disappointed. So everybody is fearing this game against Feyenoord because we are so close to another final.
I like that.
Yeah, no, right? It works out well. What we fully expect to win 1-0 in Rotterdam and lose 3-0 at the Velodrome next week. So that's the mindset that we are. We are never safe. We could be 2-0 up with 5 minutes left and we can still lose that game, just because there has been lapse of concentration and a lot of bad luck all season, a lot of deflected goals and fluke penalties and things like that.
Shake hands. Yeah, we have.
I know, right? Yeah. Exactly. So it's going to be, I know, very entertaining. Marseille is hitting their form. Payet hasn't played a full game last week. Jason hasn't played a full game last week. So some players have been rested for that game. It's going to be intense. And, regardless of what happened, one team is going to score before the other, and the other team is going to have to chase. And there's only 180 minutes to get to the final. So it's going to be, I think a lot of fun. Hopefully just fun and not too much bad stuff. I know that our team is pretty good at provoking. So hopefully it stays in the rules of the game. Well, that's great. And hopefully, and we mentioned that offline as well, hopefully everything goes well in the stands, because that's probably the most important things. And there's been a few shitty things happening in France this season. So hopefully it remains a party. It's awesome to have two teams with so much history and such a keen football IQ, and players who like to play football, and coaches who are so good at what they're doing. Hopefully everybody else just sits down and enjoy that and celebrate together at the end, regardless of what the result is.
So the prediction, that's what you asked me. Now I know you've told me everything, so now I know. I think in Rotterdam, I think Feyenoord's going to win 2-0. I think, in Marseille, I think we're going to lose 2-0. So then we have the extra time in which both teams are not going to score. And then I hope Feyenoord is going to be the lucky ones when we have the penalty kicks. I think it's going to be very close. I hope it's going to be very close. I hope we're basically on the same level. Everybody here in Holland still looks highly of Marseille and looks highly of the French football. So we know we're the underdogs, but I hope, and I also think that we can do quite well, and we can make a competitive game of it, especially in Rotterdam and also there in Marseille. So I think you said it's going to be 180 minutes. I think it's going to be a little bit more after two games. Yeah. And then maybe the penalty kicks are going to decide who's going to advance to Tijana.
Yeah, we haven't done much penalty kicks, so yeah, fair. I didn't think about that. See, my prediction would be both games are going to be like high scoring game, both sides. I think 2-2 or 2-1 either way at Rotterdam, and in Marseille like a 3-2 or a crazy 4-3 or something like that. And then potentially the extra time behind, because I feel like two teams have such firepower up front that even though they can defend, when there's so much talent up front, goals can come from anywhere. So that's probably it's going to be either one or the other, right?
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Exactly.
Either way, it's going to be fun
for sure. Johan, thank you so much for accepting to give me a little bit of your time to talk about Feyenoord and talk about this exciting doubleheader coming in this week and next week. Look, I'm looking forward, of course, to chatting with you during, after, and hopefully you'll be sad and I'll be happy. But if it's the other way around, I'll be very happy that you guys are going to Tijana. Any final word? Any plug for your own pod, maybe, Johan?
Well, our podcast is in Dutch, so I'm not sure that anybody would. Of course, you can listen it. It's on
from all over the world for Marseille.
You can, but it's in Dutch, so I don't think lots of people can understand that. So just like I said, thanks for having me. Let's make 2 games, and I hope all the fans behave in the stands and also in the cities of Rotterdam and Marseille, because that's my biggest fear, that things are gonna escalate and gonna be nasty. I hope to be in Marseille next week if the tickets are going to be on sale. So I'm going to behave for sure, and I hope to have a little victory dance somewhere in the south of France.
Hidden in the back alley when no one can see you, or in your hotel room.
Exactly.
Awesome.
All by myself. Yeah.
Exactly. Thanks, Johan. Thank you so much for coming on Casse les Lignes, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks, man.
All right.